regular trash pick. They'll get back to regular trash pickups. I don't know if we'll try to find out from them. I don't know if they'll get back to 2 a week. They probably won't need that right away, but hopefully it comes soon. Supply chain cut off from Pine Island, all that's improving. We're still going to have issues with supply chain just based on barges not at 100%, ferries not at 100%. It seems like most of the independent captains, things have settled down a little bit with them, and things are more normal. Let's see, got that. Fractured supply chains from food, water, fuel, and everything. Things are much better there. Again, only hampered by the transportation part. Our roads were impassable right after the storm. An incredible team that consists of multiple companies and individual workers on the island spent the last 12 days clearing our roads. In fact, if you came today, you might think, well, what was wrong? There's nothing wrong here. The roads look fantastic as far as the clearing, and they've pretty much wrapped up that work. And so everyone is aware through the process with UCCA, and I'm going to hand this over to Bill Fry to talk about just a little bit. It was important for the community to make sure that these workers who dove in bringing supplies over, either boating supplies or essential workers over, and who dove into clearing the roads, that they got paid for the work that they've done these last 12 days. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Bill Fry so he can sort of explain what UCCA has done and the process that we're going through to make sure that these companies and workers are paid.
Can everybody hear me? So we started the membership passed the approval for the Island Access Fund for us to begin spending those dollars for recovery expenses that Swin kind of spoke about, related to reopening the road, some of the boat captains, and any other urgent kind of thing that we primarily focused on. Companies that have employees, we want to make sure they're put to work. We also want to make sure that the companies get paid for the work they're doing so that they can pay their workers. There are 4 on-island donation streams that I'm aware of. The first one, of course, is the UCCA's. You need to remember that we are a 501c4. What that means is that none of your donations are deductible. We are, again, as I said, currently focused on island businesses that are doing community service. So it's not people, it's not vendors that have their folks doing specific support for a house. It's community service things like clearing the roads, boat captains bringing out donations and that kind of thing. The second stream is the fire district. As you should know, the fire district, anything that you send to them, you can write off on your taxes, which of course, meaning that's tax deductible. I believe I checked, their donate button on their website is still active from whenever it was created 2 years ago for the tractor purchase and donations. In that regard, what that money gets spent on is decided by the commissioners during their monthly meetings. The third stream that I'm aware of, I believe Ann Carolyn Taylor is the lead on North Captiva Strong. There are a number of other islanders that are working with her. I understand, based on the posts, that they're working on their 501c3 paperwork. I'm not sure what the current status is and whether those payments or donations are tax deductible or not. And the fourth stream that I'm aware of is that various and many different employees on the island have started their own GoFundMe pages for themselves and their families. Again, those are the 4 major streams that I know about. Only the fire department, as I understand it, is currently tax deductible, and that's all I have.
Cool, thanks, Bill. I'm getting a little feedback. All right, there we go. So the next thing is supplies. So we started with a list of small, medium, and large supplies that we needed for the island. We really pushed out sort of the small supply list through an Amazon wish list where people could order things. Primarily, most of those items are intended for island employees and workers. And so Tina Goodman has stepped in as the lead on the supplies. She's going to be feet on the ground on the island on Thursday, and we're going to have sort of a depot of all these supplies. And so it's important to us that that the majority of these supplies, if they're not intended to be equipment used on the island, that we distribute these to island employees. And so if you know an island employee in need, maybe they've lost a lot or everything where they live on the mainland, everything from toothbrushes and shampoo to all sorts of household items have been donated. And if you follow the homeowners group and Island Club group, you'll see a picture that I believe Rachel Wykes had posted of just a mountain of Amazon boxes that they had received and everything. So we're still working on our medium and our large list. Those are sort of larger look items. One item that's being donated is we're getting 4,000 trash bags donated. And we're working that right now through the fire district so that donation can get its tax deduction. But as you make it back to the island, we're going to have plenty of trash bags for you. You don't need to bring your own box of trash bags. And we're going to be looking at other things like that to just help from a scalability standpoint as we move forward. And I guess that's it on that list. If any of the task force wants to weigh in on any of those other items before we get into basically the FEMA and county response and debris removal process. Matt, Duncan, Jeff, Sean, Allie, Michael, anyone?
Hey, Swin, I just wanted to say real quick, happy anniversary and I love you.
Thanks, babe. Love you. Number 19, and going strong. All right, so if anyone, no one has any more comments on that, I'm gonna transition into FEMA and Lee County and really probably the equal with the power issue right now is the debris removal process. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind of the last 24 hours, unexpected meetings with FEMA, Lee County, Rocky Mountain Incident Management, which is a huge FEMA contractor, Crowder Gulf, who is the main large-scale FEMA contractor that is contracted with Lee County for debris removal from the island, and then also Lee County Solid Waste and Thompson Consulting Services. So we've had two different meetings. We had a meeting with a set of them yesterday. It was a little bit by luck. They were all on a ferry over here on a boat together. None of them knew each other. None of them knew that each other were coming. And so we were able to sit with them and really, go through, how the FEMA response works in terms of debris removal and some other things, and then drove them around the island for 4 hours, showing them, sort of the whole process. And so we may have talked a little bit about this last week, but there's sort of 3 tiers of logistics complications that they need to help us figure out and come up with a plan. So we're without power and we need LCC to come in and get our power back up. That's how things are going to move forward fastest for us. But at the same time, there is a lot of debris to remove, everything from vegetative debris to construction debris. That's your siding that is fallen off, and roofs and soffits and railings. And then as people pull sheetrock out of their house and cabinets, it's all that. There's going to be appliance debris, and there's going to be electronics debris, televisions that have been ruined. And then really last is hazardous waste debris. That's going to be paints and pesticides and stuff like that maybe have been washed away or ruined in the storm. So our problem is this: you have the power tier, you have the debris removal, and then you have your insurance. I think it's important that we convey, everyone needs to make sure that they're talking to their insurance company. And if you have an independent adjuster you've hired, they're going to be doing that for you. But every insurance company is different on what they expect. And I talked to several homeowners around, one company will tell you, take pictures, and then pull everything out and you can throw it away. Another company will tell you, take pictures, but if you throw anything away, we're not going to reimburse you. So I think it's very important that you understand with your insurance company when they're going to allow you to clean up the debris around your house and pull things out of your house. Because if you do it too early, you may be hurting yourselves. So as people start pulling the debris out of their yards, whether it's vegetative or construction or otherwise, and out of their house, the tendency is going to be put it on the curb, right? Put it right next to the road. We're already seeing pretty massive piles of that debris along the roads. And if we end up with hundreds of those, we're going to block LCEC's access to come fix our power, because they're going to have to get to their boxes. They may have to furrow new lines. We don't know until they get here. And so we're in this catch-22 of, if we move the debris fast to try to get it out of our yards and out of our house, we may be without power longer because LCC is going to say this has to get out of here first. As we get into the debris removal process, it's going to be a months-long process, many months. It's not going to be, hey, everyone get everything out to the curb this week and everything's gone and everything's perfect, because everyone's going to be going at different paces on creating those piles. So we conveyed that as a team to FEMA and the county, all the contractors. They were spitballing all sorts of ideas from, and I think Brian's on here. Hey, can we take this landing strip and can we put everything on there and burn it? Which I said, that's probably going to be very problematic. To bringing in, these air burners to burn vegetation that apparently create no smoke and just ash, to, talking about a big burn pit on the state land, or bringing in, equipment and chippers and chipping all the vegetative stuff and barging it off. As of today, they don't know what that right process is, but they've got the people to figure that out. And so they're going to be coming back to us with that idea. Most likely it'll be using large barges. There's been a 165-foot barge landing at the East Airstrip all this last week, bringing equipment to the fire station, the fuel and everything. So it'll probably be an operation like that. It's going to be, anyway, that's kind of where we are with the debris. I can tell you that everyone that we met with is sincere. They're here to help. This main FEMA and county team is covering Captiva proper and North Captiva only. They're stationed over on Captiva right now. We will see them, an every other day basis, maybe daily basis. They stated we'll see them so much we'll be sick of them, which is a good thing, because the proposition that we're looking at here, the scale of debris removal, if we were doing it just on our own, is probably, this is a wide range, $2 to $4 million, right? And as a community, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, my internet just cracked out just exactly as you were talking about me, and I missed the question.
Wasn't a question. I was just mentioning how they had mentioned sort of commandeering the airstrip, to which we told them that probably wasn't going to happen. So
Yeah, I mean,
But-
you know, the airstrip, the management's working as much as we can with the guys. We're trying to keep the airstrip open for all the members, but you know, everything is flexible. We're here to help the community, and whatever we can do. We've tried to limit the airplanes coming in. The helicopters are not a problem, but the airplanes are, because the airstrip is extremely soft right now, and just touching down and taxiing in, you know, you're leaving ruts that are going to make it unusable. So we're monitoring it every day. I'm out here right now in my airplane, and probably not able to leave for a couple of days simply because of the condition of the airstrip. But you know, we're here to help.
awesome. Thanks, Brian. So, you know, get back to, this is going to be a large scale, you know, millions of dollars if we were paying for it ourselves, but the county and FEMA are going to pay for all this debris removal, all the way to the fact of, I showed them dozens, if not hundreds, of flooded out golf carts. You know, the tons of golf carts can probably leave the island in this process. And anyway, I think it's going to be really good for the island. At the county level, they're even looking at the Brazilian pepper issue. Thank you. They're looking at the Brazilian pepper issue. When you come in and see it, anyone who's been here or who is here right now will you know, see that it's been annihilated, it's dying, it's going to dry out, and it's a fire hazard. So I think the county is going to look at this response, and then under sort of the guise of this debris removal, to pull the Brazilian pepper off all the properties that have it. It's a tangled, dry mess right now. So that's really it. We don't have answers from these teams as to the process yet. I think we will start hearing that in the next days or week max. I don't think it's going to be weeks and weeks. They were, you know, one team was feet on the ground yesterday. One team was feet on the ground today. We connected both of those teams together, and you know, at this point, it's all about money flow from FEMA to the county, and then the county negotiating with these large contractors like Crowder Gulf to come in and do the work. And then they'll come in and they'll give us a sense of the process of what needs to happen. So with that, well, I guess anyone on the task force want to sort of weigh in on that, and then we'll go to Q&A. Anyone? We good? 5, 4, 3,
Just
2.
one
Good.
comment that's not exactly related to FEMA, but we did conclude our road project. So all of the roads are passable. And now additionally, there's a saw crew that came from forestry, and that crew is tackling the residential area as well. And they're also tackling the debris on the roads down to the south banks in our state preserve in order to get our fire equipment, you know, to the south bank, since it's our responsibility on North Captiva. So that's been a huge help to have the roads cleared and have the lulls go up and down the roads and actually start boarding up windows and tarping roofs. So we're at I guess a stable point with our infrastructure. You know, one of the primary concerns is the docking situation in Safety Harbor. A lot of the docks got really destroyed, but that looks like they're fixable. And then the mainstay Safe Harbor docks as well sustained damage. So I think that might be one of our next challenges. And you know, going forward, is where are all these contractors and boats and people going to park?
Yeah, good call, Duncan. Yeah, for sure. Docking is going to be a challenge, and over this next year plus, we're going to need to help figure out how contractors with their workers can land and more for the day while they're here. So with that, we'll go to
Swin,
Q&A.
can I add
Yeah.
just
Oh,
one
yeah.
comment?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, I mean, as being part of the 3-person team that met with FEMA, the county, the emergency responders, et cetera, yesterday, and Crowder Golf today, I will tell you, these people are sincere. We've met with the county in the past. We get a little bit of lip service and some polite nods. These people started out with, "What do you need?" as their first comment. And I think we did a fairly effective job of showing them the problem areas in the island, the problem issues like not only house debris, but the horticultural debris, our unique situation with Brazilian pepper. I think we're going to get a little bit interesting angle on that. The way it works, my understanding is the county works with the EOC and ultimately pays Crowder Golf for the contract to remove this. We met with the Crowder Golf people today. Everybody seems to be doing their job. I've never seen a response quite like this. Maybe it's because our governor might be running for president, but no political comments. My point is that I think this group is sincere about really helping us, and we'll continue to be engaged with them throughout the process. So.
Yeah, thanks, AJ, and totally agree. I mean, they're I don't think they just showed up for us to see them. They're here to work with us. So with that, we'll go to Q&A. We'll start with Eric Riggle, and then I'll go to one in the chat.
Hey, Swin, thank you very much. This kind of goes to something that was touched on tonight and something you and I had touched on earlier, and that was, people are worried about looters or strange people on the island they don't recognize. And you and I had talked about, how do these contractors get registered or at least recognized when they come on the island? I had a mitigator out today. I've got a forensic engineer out in a couple of days to come out, and I want to make sure that, these guys don't raise any red flags. That's number one. And then number two is the access thing that Duncan was talking about. A lot of these contractors that I'm talking to are curious about, how do they get to the island? If they rent their own boats or barges, do they have access to the island? And I think those are things that in a very short period of time, we've got to address, right?
Yeah, so to speak to a couple of those things. So let's start with the security issues. So one thing that this task force did in the early days, because obviously that first concern is about looters. And I want to, really stress that feet on the ground here. I don't think that, I know there have been a couple of concerns that people brought up, people they've seen and all. I don't think there's a big problem with security right now, but we wanted to get ahead of that. So I'll show you these. So we've got 2 different sort of wristbands we've ordered. One is a silicone yellow wristband that says North Captiva Island with a couple little manatees on it, and then verified full time. We're hopeful to register as any property owner comes in, long-term business owners, long-term employees will get these. And look, it's voluntary. We can't make you wear one. I think that if people will wear this, you'll be identified. A yellow wristband, you're supposed to be here. I know a lot of us know each other, but we don't know every owner. We don't know everyone. For those temp workers, we've got sort of these Tyvek, that you might get at a music festival, wristbands that say North Captiva Temp Access, and a place for us to write a date. At tomorrow's meeting, we're gonna set up what that process is. And I don't know if he wants to speak to it, but Jeff Irvine with Safety Harbor Club told us today that they're looking to get the Safety Harbor Club office kind of back up and running. So we'll probably look for a couple of volunteers to sit there and sort of check people in. It's going to be difficult. It's not like we have enough manpower, even as more people come to have people on this dock over here, this dock over here. Everyone coming in. So the idea of the wristbands is, if you see someone without a wristband, hey, nice to meet you. Who are you? Why are you here? Right. And if they're temp, hey, we'd like you to go here to this clubhouse and check in, get a wristband. And if you're a full timer and you should be here and you work here, you'll get the silicone one that you continue. So it's not going to solve every problem, but it'll help identify more of the people who, you know, own here and work here versus the temporary ones. Will we still see people without them, and will many people not wear them? Yes. So there's no way we're going to solve it 100%, but it's our best shot to try without hiring a security team of 30 people to try to, you know, protect the island. I don't think we need that. You know, I think, you know, early, you know, it's just, if you see something, say something. And overwhelmingly, and this comes from Lieutenant Sawicki, if you see something odd, call it in, call 911, call it in, and they will come and they will investigate it. And if we do have an ongoing problem, the more calls, the more support we'll get with sheriff deputies on the island. And as most of it has moved from search and rescue to recovery efforts, over the next week or two, we'll probably get, you know, more visibility from our sheriffs. Now they're out every day. I see them land twice a day. I saw Sawicki and another deputy today. I see, you know, Chris Lusk and another deputy the other days. So they're around and they're watching and everything. And then on the other one on docking for contractors, that's something we'll also bring up in our meeting tomorrow or the next day. It came up today lightly at the end. It's definitely something that we have to look for, because we just have to have access for these people, and it's gonna be tough, right? If you have a private dock, hey man, don't land on my dock. And that's kind of how it's been. I'm going to try to get to safe harbor marinas, because it's obvious that mainstay is not going to be functional for quite some time. So they're not going to have boaters coming in using restaurants. I imagine they're going to have to get their docks fixed before they would allow us. Otherwise, it's a liability issue, and they are wrecked to a certain degree. Nothing so bad that I don't think that it can be fixed, but at the same time, do they want to spend the money to fix it to let us use it for our contractors? So we will ask that question.
So when my insurance company inquired about, you know, hiring their own private barge, and is that a negative? Should I tell these guys right away that they can't bring a barge out to the island for all the contractors?
So what would they do? They would just barge. I mean, I guess give some scope of how you see them barging, like materials.
I asked them for that. It was materials, crews, everything. They're doing multiple houses on Sanibel Captiva, and they were like, "We've rented a barge just to go between the islands." And I said, "Hey, slow down. I'm not sure that's going to work at North Captiva to come in there with a barge."
Yeah. So your tough thing there is the current barge spaces, you know, that are controlled by Loggerhead and Team Davenport, which, you know, I think most of us know are one now. I don't know if they would allow any landing without a bump fee or not. It's something to ask Mike Verona. And then I think there is another option, and I don't know if it'll be open. I think Duncan's lot might allow bumping. The only other thing that you could bump on for a barge that I know of would not bump, but they could actually offload possibly at the end of the airstrip, but even that's tricky. So that's a tough question. It's something we'll bring up in our meeting and try to tackle, because I think that's a big part of where the task force is turning, right? The first, you know, week was just sort of chaos and emergency, get fuel to the island, you know, get the roads done. And now it needs to look at how can we help at the community level scale these things to make it easier. So we don't have 400 homeowners tripping over each other because the processes are just bad and unavailable. So hope that answers. So we'll bring it up and definitely look at it.
Hey, Mike,
Thanks, Mike.
my humble opinion is that they should work through Verona and Davenport rather than try to bring a second or third or fourth barge company to the island. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no worries. And I think on that, it would be people reaching out to them and seeing if they'll actually allow bump fees and if there's available, slots to do that in. So hold on, let me go to the chat real quick. So Jim Callan says, does LCC plan on accelerating the update of the grids during this process of restoring power? So as many of you probably know, LCC was in a phase where they were going to replace every transformer box and every underground electrical line on the island. They had already staked out Panama Shell, the last 3 streets and part of Rum Road. They were just waiting on permitting at the county and the state level. They needed the state level with DEP with the relocation of the gopher tortoises to the state lands and putting up like a little barrier fence to keep them from coming back during that construction phase. And then the Lee County level, just their permits to get started on that project. So I think that's a big unknown until they come in and determine what they have to do. If they determine that, it's going to have to replace 50% of the transformers anyway, then they may decide to do it all at once, which then again creates, a huge logistical issue with debris removal, people wanting to get here and be working on their homes, and that work all happening at the same time. So Jim, I don't think we know until we can really get a definitive answer from LCC. Now, I haven't confirmed this myself, but today in the meeting, Nicole had brought up that Sherman had been hired by LCC to start clearing around their transformer boxes. So that's a great sign. And then through another channel, it's been told to us that LCC should have their assessment team on the ground here on the island by the end of this week. So maybe in the next few days, we'll have a clearer picture on LCC and power and how that's going to work. Kenna Yoke asked, can the bans be mailed to owners? We'll bring that up in our security meeting tomorrow. I'm sure we can make that happen. And that's the wristbands. And Erica Parks, yes, agreed, tricky to administer the wristbands, but we'll try our best. We know we're not going to hit 100% on it for sure. Let's see. Okay, any other questions out there about any other? I can tell you this, that the team with FEMA and their big contractors did say yesterday that we should discourage people from coming. And I told them, I can't say that again. I still have wounds from that. So I've asked them for an official letter, either from FEMA or Lee County, and we can try to support that. But I know everyone's anxious to get to the island and check on your home, start those remediation processes and everything. I'll just tell you, as you do trek to the island, it's still not easy. Way different than it was a week ago. So just be prepared for a longer journey, a tougher journey, and make sure if your house doesn't have power or water that you come prepared with all the necessities you need, especially if you're going to try to stay overnight. Kent Morris, hey buddy.
Hey, Swing, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Hey, I just wanted to, I know everybody says it, but just wanted to say thank you for your whole task force down there. You guys are amazing. You're doing a great job. And I know it's got to be a beat down right now, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Right on. Thank you. Look, I think our team is amazing. It's awesome seeing everyone that's working together. we divide, we divide and conquer. We're dividing up tasks. I think that the overall goal, there's sort of this twofold goal of if we look at this disaster and what it's done to our island, and just off the cuff, we say it's an 8-year recovery. Well, how, as a task force in the community, can we scale things to make it a 2-year recovery, right?
Oh,
And so that's really, I think, the central goal. So, as things ease up, we're about to really just hit a free market here. These emergency things that we were doing over the first 12 days are resolving. A big focus is now just on power and the debris removal process, because that's a massive amount of what has to happen. But then, I think we'll stay together through the next year, navigating how can we help, right? I've mentioned a few people, how many lifts are on the island right now? Maybe 5. We probably need 25 lifts on the island, because almost everyone's getting new siding and new soffits, and a lot of people are getting new windows. Many are getting new roofs. If we have to go through that 5 lifts, that contractors are sharing or trying to get from one home to other, can't get to this home because the lift's way down here, it's just going to make it harder. So I'm not saying that the task force of the community are necessarily going to pay for those, but if the contractors, it's our goal at some point to get all the contractors who do that work together and find out their needs. And if they need help sourcing that stuff to make it easier, I think that's part of our intention as well.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you from all of us. You guys are the boots on the ground. So, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Awesome. Let's see. Any other saw a question? Yeah. So is there a list of companies, individuals that are available for mold remediation and or I think that's probably generator installation. So we don't have a great list of that yet. That's something that we'll start putting together. Obviously, I think there's a big goal of any company that you can use that is our island company and our island workers, please use them for whatever you can. Obviously, some of them are not going to be set up to do remediation and all like that, but some are scaling up to be able to do that, getting trained on things like that. That'll be another thing. We'll try to put together the best list we can, pull together sort of remediation experts. I know Eric Riggle had a company out today. I know Andy Fuchsa has a company that he's recommended, and there are probably a few others. And that's what's important to us. And I'll kind of go through this real quick because we talked about it today. Anyone that that may not have a property manager or someone on the island who is already helping with their home, whether it's taking pictures, letting an insurance adjuster in your home, other things, please reach out to us and we'll try to put you with, someone who can help. And I think as a community, everyone who's on this call, if you have your neighbors, reach out to them and ask them if their house is being looked at, because what we don't want to have is people fall through the cracks. And in this sense, it's probably easier for those who rent their homes because they're already connected to some property management company. It's our snowbirds and maybe even some residents, even though I think most of the residents probably are tied in with, most of the workers on the island, our snowbirds. And then, people who just own the house, maybe they come in once a year, for vacations and everything. They might not be connected to the different groups or companies on the island. We want to help. We want to get them connected. So, Taylor.
This one, quick question on that Brazilian pepper thing. I just wanted to make sure, are they talking about covering the cost of that with disaster funding that they have, or
yes,
making sure there's no possibility that they're gonna? No, I don't think we have any on our property, but just generally, I know some people have many, and I'd hate to see it come back through as a charge somehow from the county.
Yeah, so we're pretty blunt with all of our communication with FEMA and the county and everything, the desire here and I believe the reality, and look, it could go through some channels and the county go, no, we're not doing that and everything. But yes, the goal is to have that deemed, and it's being deemed unsafe, not only by the fire district, but the county's seen it. They're looking at it. They saw it yesterday and today that it's deemed unsafe and will be pulled out with these FEMA funds and through that program at no cost to any individual property owner. So we'll certainly make sure that we go through that. There can't be any unexpected thing. They couldn't unilaterally just take it and then bill you without a bunch of notice and stuff like that. So certainly that's our goal, is to get it out with the FEMA stuff. Is the way they look at it. And this apparently, I'm no hurricane expert, I'm becoming more of one, but apparently after every hurricane, everything dries out and fires start. So Hurricane Michael up in Mexico Beach and the Panhandle a few years ago, tons of fires after that went through there because everything was just dried out and fires started. Hang there one sec. Yep, you bet. All right, let's see. Having lived through what a difference LCEC should expedite repairs given they were anticipating work. Yeah, I think LCC's moving pretty fast, and getting them on the island will just be helpful to know more. That does the LCC comment actually makes me think of another thing that we really wanted to bring up tonight. So, and this if you're coming in to check on your house, or if you have a property manager or someone who can check on it, it's actually very important that every house have their electrical panel. And you may have multiple. You may have one for a hot tub or something like that that's separate from your main panel. Your main panels need to be shut off before LCC restores power, because you don't know what the damage is to your house. And if they flip the switch on, they're not going to go house to house to all of our homes and make sure the panels are shut off. So over the next weeks here, I think it's important that everyone get with someone to shut off the electrical panels on your house. So when they do flip it back on, you don't have an unexpected fire or something. Let's see. Yeah, Phil Hebner's on. Phil, if you want to speak to generators and running AC and battling the mold issue, yeah, please find to address everyone. And everyone just know that Phil's obviously a contractor on the island. So let's preface with, he's not trying to just get your business here at this moment. He's trying to explain things that he can get and ways to look at remediation. So you can use anyone you want, but Phil, go for it.
And I want to stress that I make my money by building and remodeling houses. I'm not a generator salesman. I'm not making money off this venture. I just want to recoup my costs. But I feel the great need that we live in a tropical climate, and without conditioned air, we'll be susceptible to mold, mildew issues. So I've kind of made it my mission to locate as many generators that will run 2 air conditioning units as possible. And my findings are that these units need to be at least 15,000 kW or greater. Most whole house generators are 22,000 kW or greater, and they run on propane. The ones that I'm finding are running on gasoline. So they are maintenance heavy. They need to be filled with gasoline every day, probably 5 to 8 gallons per day, but they will run your air conditioners. If you are wanting to have a cheap solution to having your air conditioners operated every day, this might be a solution for you. I think a whole house generator, those of you that are listening, correct me if I'm wrong, can be in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $20,000 installed, plus the cost of the propane. These generators are running around $25,000 to $33,000 to $4,000 plus the gasoline needed to operate. So I'm sold out currently, but I have 5 or 6 more that we're trying to pick up tomorrow or Thursday. And I'll continue to find them as long as the need is great. And feel free to contact me if you have questions or comments.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. iPad user.
Hello, Sven. I'm sorry, I'm driving down right now. I'll be on the island tomorrow. This is Greg Fodor. I was
Hey, Greg.
just wondering if, being that it's such a fire hazard right now, has Chief Martin talked about having a fire patrol? Because in circumstances as such as this, it's a really good idea to have the fire company out and about during the wee hours of the night on a patrol to the areas of the island where there's no people. So if there is a fire, that we would have a chance. I'm sorry?
So Greg, this is Duncan. I could weigh in on this a little bit. I asked Chief Martin earlier today, and I guess FEMA is going to pay for a 5th firefighter, supposedly. So he's working on that to try to get us some extra help. And I know that they have been surveying where the generators are and monitoring that situation very closely. But I definitely agree with you. Right now, the generator, on the flip side, the generators, yes, are going to power our homes and keep the humidity down and the mold, situation under control. But it's a huge fire hazard, and he's very much on top of that.
Cool. Thanks, guys. So, hey, real quick, we had Brian. Oh, still there?
Great, Duncan.
Greg.
I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, but what I
Greg, we can't understand you. You're going in and out really bad. It sounds like you'll be able to see Duncan tomorrow. Maybe we can dive into that issue deeper. So Brian Tomets asked how about if one person on every street checks the electrical panels. That's probably a really good idea. We started diving into this lightly at the end of our meeting today.
Greg, see us, Sven, yeah.
Yeah, what I was talking about though with Duncan would be an actual.
We're not getting you guys. You're in and out. Sorry. Cannot hear you. Okay. So on shutting off the electrical panels on each house, I think what we're going to put together is just a quick form to get out to the community so you can fill out if you do not want us to go down the street and turn off your power on your home, right? I think we're all reticent to just go on every person's private property and turn off their power without their knowledge. So we're going to sort of do the reverse. We're going to assume we're going to go do that for everyone, unless you reach out and tell us you do not. So we'll publish a form in the next day or two, and then probably by next week we'll have a plan in place to send teams down each street to shut off electrical panels on homes that obviously people aren't there that aren't generators and stuff. And then Paul Preston, can you confirm that garbage pickup will start tomorrow? I cannot confirm that. I saw Mr. Verona today, and it still sounded like bring your household trash to Team Davenport, put it in one of the empty dumpsters. So that information is a bit fluid and changing day to day. I think earlier in the week, last week, the expectation was maybe by Wednesday of this week, they'd be back to some normal pickup service, but I don't see that for a few days, possibly a week. Yep.
Yeah, hold on a second. Dan has a quick response here. Yeah, hey.
Yep.
Guys, so we've been dropping off trash there all week, and it's been like 4 dumpsters. We just dropped off that trash, and there's like 10 to 12 empty dumpsters on his lot right now.
Yeah, because they took all those that were full the other day and emptied them. Now they're back. The problem is, so we can still take stuff down and put them in there, but I don't think he's got his teams on a cart going, house to house picking up yet. So trash service is there if you drop off. It's just they're not at pickup yet. They're not doing pickup yet.
All right, thanks, Swen.
Yep, you bet. Steve Ward chimed in, whole house generator will cost you close to $40,000 by the time you buy generator, tank, build stand, hire electrical setup, et cetera, et cetera. So for everyone. Yep. And some kudos out to our team. And yeah, kudos to everyone. Everyone who did very hard manual labor on the roads, and to the captains who went through a lot of stress in the early days in this first week, getting things over, and then everyone who's involved in, the task force. And we have more people than just this task force. We've assigned team leaders, people from Polly Garrett and Tina Goodman and Rachel Wykes, and the list goes on. There are a lot of people across many projects associated with this that are working every day for everyone. All right, so Tina says, can you make a list of electric personnel certified to inspect our electric systems before power is restored? I believe this is required. Yeah, we'll get into that. I actually was reading the LCC update today, and I want to understand a little bit more about the process, because I read some things that made it seem like you actually might need an inspection even from Lee County before they turn your power back on. I don't want to say that that's a thing. I want us as a team to investigate. Just something I read. Did someone else want to talk there? So Tima, we'll try our best to put together lists of electricians and stuff, because that will be a thing people need. Any other questions? No. Task force members? Oh, here we go. Anne, go ahead.
Hey, thanks. So I work for an electric company. I think the issue with the repair of the place where the LCEC lines come into your house is really much more prominent when you're having connections that are in the air, right? So many folks on other parts of LCEC service territory have connections that are in the air. We are all connected underground. And so I'm not sure that it's going to be as big of an issue for us, but it's certainly something to sort of look into. But, I am hopeful that we're going to be okay in that regard.
Awesome. Great info. All right.
Hey,
Any
Swin,
other?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Hey, I just wanted to chime in and say thanks to everybody for the donations. I know that there's, going through the boxes that Rachel posted a picture of and kind of categorizing. There's little notes in there from people that have rented homes, people that own homes, people that just know people that own homes, and so the support is amazing. We've all got a huge vested interest to get the island back to as beautiful as we once knew it as before, and to get it back quickly. And with that being said, I just wanted to touch base on some economies of scale things. And again, this is not a sales pitch, But I want to share with you a quick story about the Sanibel Church in Sanibel, which is about 55,000 square feet, that the contractor that we're partnering with, ARC, literally had the governor fly in helicopters, land their command center there, and tarp it, and then replace the shingle roof in about 3 days. They've got 300 guys there now working on it, and another 300 I think are coming in. So they have the ability to do economies of scale and get homes construction ready, but we can't do like 1Z or 2Z here. If people want to have their homes secured and tarped and like ready to go, and construction ready, and then again, you don't have to use ARC to do the work. You don't have to use them to do your windows or your generator or your electricity or whatever, but just to get your home in a position so that it's ready to go for it again. They're ready and prepared to do that. And again, not a sales pitch, but I know everybody has a vested interest of moving this forward as fast as possible. So just something to keep in mind. We're going to be doing a lot of cleanup around the club. We've been putting a lot of effort into doing stuff around, and I'm not trying to put a plug out there for us at all, but it's been awesome to work with Duncan and with Sean and Gage and the whole team. And I think that everybody will, agree with me on this, that as a community, it's been it's been a miracle that we've moved so fast, and we're going to continue to move at that rate. I just don't want to lose the momentum. So that's why I bring that up. I'm extremely grateful for all of you, and it's never been about money for me on this stuff, and I don't think that it is for a lot of the people on the island. It's about the people, and we have awesome people, and we have an awesome team in place with the task force. And I want to thank Swin for taking the charge on it and taking some of the blows from the comments as well. So thank you, Swin. Thank you, everybody on the call. And just want to invite everybody on Saturday. My GFS is our food distributor. They donated a bunch of food and beer and stuff. We're going to have generators going, and we're going to play some music, and we're going to do a Philly cheesesteak. It's all going to be free. And if you guys want to do donations, it'll go towards staff and people working on the island as well. So that's my 2 cents for the call, and just really appreciate everybody.
Yeah. Awesome, Matt. Yeah. It's been nice. There's been a few get-togethers for the workers and people who are here on the island. I want to give a shout out to the Highsmiths. They've been feeding the island workers pretty much every day. They've got a lot of pulled pork to go through. So if you get to the island, you're probably getting a pulled pork sandwich and everything, which is delicious. Love it. So, look, it's a very healthy vibe. Once you get in and see your house, you're gonna have your moment, maybe a tear or two here. It's work, right? We all have work to do. And I think we've got a really great foundation started here to push through for, a very speedy recovery for our island. So I'll kind of leave it. There's no other questions. Well, let's see, there might be one more. So I'll leave it with this as, we know people are going to start coming. That funnel, is widening every day. A number of people coming to the island, check on their house. We're going to have, pulling sheetrock out, starting to clean up. I will ask everyone to please just be logical as you are clearing stuff out and creating piles alongside the road. There are piles that we already see where it's a huge pile of debris, and right in the middle of that is an LCC transformer. So it's like all of that is going to have to be moved to get to that box. So, as you start getting here, as you hire remediation companies, just convey the best you can to not make a mess of the piles on the island that make it harder. And again, I think we need a few days to hear from the county and FEMA and Crowder Gulf on what it's going to look like on debris removal. And I think right now they would tell you, don't make a bunch of piles right next to the road. Like if you need to make it in your yard further back, if you want to put it in a bull bag to start with, it's further back from the road, do that until we know our path forward with LCEC and those transformer boxes. And with that, unless we have any other questions, we'll call it a night. Good. All right.
I got a question.
Yep.
It's Phil.
Hey,
Did you
Phil.
just indicate that bull bags and bag stirs are not necessary and they can just put debris out by the cart paths?
Yeah. So that's a question for Crowder Gulf and everything. But we've looked at everything. I will say this. I think that if we use bagsters and bull bags, even though they won't go out like the normal ones, right? You're not going to put that on a barge and pay $8.50. Crowder Gulf would just take it. I think if you bag this stuff, it's going to be a cleaner process, right? Because it's already in a bag, and then when they come through, whatever they use a grappler. They just grab that whole bag, and you're throwing the whole bag of stuff away. That's what I'm going to plan to do at my yard, because you throw it on the ground, the grappler is going to get most of it, but there's going to be a lot of little debris left around. So there's not a directive yet. So I know people on the island right now that there are some people using bull bags, there's some people using bagsters, and there's some people just creating piles alongside. I don't think there's a wrong or right way to do it today, but over the next few days to a week, I think we will get that direction. Cool.
Sven, thanks so much for putting this together and spending all the time that I know you're spending to do this and keep us informed. We appreciate it.
Yeah, right on. We'll keep doing it. The goal here is speedy recovery and the best information that we can convey out to everyone, so we know the path forward together. All right. Well, with that, we'll call it a night. Good night, everyone.